Hi, it's Deanne. And some time has passed now since that traumatic event, and you're likely starting to hit those firsts. It could even just be the first time it's that day of the week, the first time you're back in that location or around those friends. As you get your head above water and time starts to move on, there'll be longer times between those firsts, but then it's that holiday, or you see something that reminds you of the person who got harmed or killed. Their favorite movie gets re-released, or you see something and you think, oh, I've got to tell them. Oh, wait a minute, they're not here. Those firsts are tough. And the closer you were to the person, the more they were an integral part of your life, or the more deeply your nervous system was impacted, the more you're going to feel jolted by these. Hopefully, you can have compassion for yourself and say, oh, there's that thing. This is part of it. It's completely normal. So, what are some normal reactions? Some in this series we've already talked about. You're going to have less capacity. You're going to feel more fried, maybe more emotional about things that wouldn't normally get you, more irritable, less tolerance for people, including yourself. But some others are you might find yourself relieved that it wasn't you or it wasn't your immediate loved ones. And with that, you might be able to make space and say, okay, that's understandable human reaction, or you might guilt trip yourself for that. You may also start to hear information or process through your own mind. How did this happen? Why did this happen? That rumination, right, of the replays, trying to figure it out. But you may have some realizations or find out some information where you're like, what the heck? And anger may come with that. Like, how could somebody make those decisions? Or why wasn't the situation different? Why wasn't there more safety? Or why weren't people paying attention? Or why didn't I think of that? So it could be about others, but it could also be about yourself. And that's all part of it. So allow yourself to have those feelings, just like the sad feelings that come through like waves. But for now, consider not making any major life decisions. And it doesn't have to be specifically about this. It could be about you're thinking about moving or quitting your job or leaving a relationship. We tend not to have our full capacity because still in the background of your mind, it's still filing things away or sorting through things like opening a box. Oh, and there's this piece and this piece and this piece. That's all still happening in the background of your brain. And how long is that going to last? Well, for some of you, it's a few days or a couple weeks. If it's lasting longer than a few weeks, then you may want to get some help processing. And EMDR is the most effective way I have seen in probably the last 15 years. It's, in a sense, an artificial way to, think of artificial intelligence helping you go through all those boxes and sort it. It will help your brain sort it. But you don't have to talk about all the details of the event in order to do this processing. A couple other reactions that we haven't talked about is you may be feeling more pain in your body, like aches and pains in your body. And you may also feel like you don't want to take any risks. Like, so maybe you've stayed home more, maybe you've passed up some things. Maybe all of a sudden things that didn't seem dangerous before suddenly feel like more risk than you want to take. Maybe you're just avoiding doing anything because most of what you do reminds you of the incident or the people you love or the people you lost. So again, all normal reactions, but ones that you want to provide care for because avoiding things isn't really going to make the pain go away. I got a couple reminders lately when I was out hiking about how to get through tough times in life. I was at about mile 12 and feeling done for the day, and I thought, oh, I'll just hike to the next water source and then I'll stop for today. Well, the next water source wasn't for another 5.5 miles. So it came down to like I'm looking up at this giant hill and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get out of here. So what I had to do is break it down to moment by moment. All I need to do is lift this foot up, then the other. All I need to do is look right in front of me so I don't slide on this rock, this loose rock right here, and end up down that cliff. So breaking something down to all I have to do is exist at this moment. And sometimes that's all I have to do is get through this next 5 seconds. And as you have that thought, your body has breathed itself, you are still existing. And guess what? You just got through the next 5 seconds. Over time, you'll have the capacity to say, what am I going to do tomorrow? But if you're not feeling that yet, then just be right where you are. The other part of my lesson while hiking is I brought my solar power charger, but no charging cord. And so my phone battery was dying and it was a 3-day trip. So I had to let my phone start up and prioritize, like, am I going to take pictures of all this beauty around me? Or is my first priority to check the GPS to make sure I'm still on the trail? So thinking about like what's your highest and best priority for you right now with the energy that you have. My second priority was to type a text through this to satellite to send to the Garmin saying I'm safe. And then my last priority would be to take the pictures or to write down some inspiration that I had or things I wanted to remember. But I didn't have the battery power for those. So those things didn't get to happen. Not yet, right? Until you get recharged, until you have an opportunity to feel like you've got your head above water and you're ready for more, then for now, act as if, right? You're on limited time. Kind of like if you had the flu right now. Maybe you wouldn't be doing some of your extra tasks. A thinking mind has this way of telling us everything is important, everything has to get done. But when you're in situations where you have to make the choice of what's a priority, it kind of outsmarts that primitive part of that thinking mind that's telling you should be doing more. How about just do what you can with what you have right now? For those of you who are still feeling the agitation or the startle response in your body, you want to reduce stimulation overall. There's a part of our brain, I think it's called the insula, but it's the filter. So it's the part of our brain that has to sort through, like, oh, what was that noise? Or, oh, is something burning? And all this background noise, and it wears it down. So, kind of like having a bunch of apps open on your phone, it's using that battery, your brain power. So, consider not having on the background TV or put in one earplug when you're at home, or for some of you, putting music on to have just a steady sound in the background rather than all the different chatter that maybe happens at your workplace or places that you are. For me, it's going out in the woods or not talking. So for some of you, it'll be to reduce that stimulation, but it also can be helpful to get connection to be soothed. So maybe getting more hugs from the people you love, or asking for a hand hold, or can you just lean up against me, or can I just sit with you? And maybe you don't even want to talk about stuff. You just want to be with somebody. Or you could say to people, hey, I feel like talking something out. Can you hear me out? I'm not really looking for brainstorming or problem solving. I just feel like I want to talk something out. So that's an example of be clear about what you want or need, and you get to ask for what you want. On the one hand, for some of you, reducing stimulation or not playing music is helpful because it's less noise for your brain to sort. On the other hand, for some of you, you very much connect to music. So use that music. Like some people play Hallmark movies to have a good cry, like to feel like they can move emotion. I think of Tom Hanks in Philadelphia when he was so moved by that music. So consider what your playlist might be like of moving emotion or feeling the melodrama and feeling the heaviness inside your body. Because when we acknowledge things, I mean, all day long when I'm with clients, when we just look at something and feel it and describe it, it's like we're saying to that part of self, I see you, I feel you, I get you. And so often those parts of self are like, oh, thank you, I feel relieved. So playing some kind of soundtrack and then allowing yourself to move to it, right? Maybe it's like a gentle, flowy Gumby or ballet, or maybe it's just like head banging, rock and roll, jump around, mosh pit. Whatever your body needs, follow it. So other ways to take care of your brain and body are to just all the brain healthy exercises. So eat cleaner, less processed food, avoid alcohol or other substances that just make you have to process more stuff. And part of that is to do some movement, like help your body be processing. So yoga or qigong, tai chi kind of movements can help find things that are kind of lodged in your body, different places, and get those out. You could put on tribal drumming and get that out too, right? So it depends on if you're feeling more like I'm more melancholy and I want to be soothed, or I'm just feeling like really agitated and busy and startly. So then I want to get this stuff out of my body. Another way to care for your brain is to do mindfulness. Now, wait a minute. Before you say, I can't do that, I can't slow down. Mindfulness can be just one focus. So you could be cleaning the junk drawer, making decisions about a junk drawer, one thing. That's all you're doing right now. Or you could be knitting, one thing. That's all I'm doing right now. It doesn't have to be that you quiet your mind or you empty your mind. That's hard for a lot of people. If you know how to do that, then more power to you. Use it. One of my favorite meditations of all time is the mountain meditation. And I love this one because it's so relatable to life that there could be mudslides and trees swarming around and rain, and yet the mountain still sits. So it's about finding that quiet place inside, no matter how much chatter and busy the mind is, or whatever's going on in your outside world, to find that quiet place. Even the mountain still sits, even when people can't see it, right? When it's foggy and nobody can see it and nobody's acknowledging it, the mountain still sits. And that helps me recognize, like, wait a minute, I'm living for my values and for my morals and or my passion, my purpose. This isn't about getting reflection from others. And the mountain teaches us that. Another strategy for right now is to be in gratitude. Now, when you feel grateful that it wasn't you or it wasn't somebody you love, it doesn't cancel out the pain that you lost someone or the empathy that you feel towards those who lost someone that they love. But it allows you to awaken your heart. And in some ways, it's part of the date stamping, it's part of organizing yourself after a traumatic event. Our minds can get very narrow focused. That's a good thing. If there was a snake on the floor right now, then it would be good that that's all my mind can focus on, because maybe it's a rattlesnake, right? I need to do something about it. It's good for our survival to focus on threats until it's not, like until the threat is gone, but we're still focused on it. And so it's a way of showing your mind that there's more happening. Like, yes, I still have all these things I love, or I still have these choices. I still have the ability to do these things in my life, or I get to take a rest from them right now, and I still get to decide later what I want to do about that. I have the choice to call upon friends and ask for support. I get to work through some discomfort maybe because I'm not used to receiving support. So finding what can you be grateful for is a way of trying to help expand your mind back out and undo that real focus that it can get when you're under threat. So even though you're practicing gratitude, it's not going to cancel out the pain that you are feeling, the pain that you're witnessing others. After going through a traumatic event, your life is not going to be the same. And for some people, they find a way where life is more precious. They make different choices, not from a place of fear, but from a place of like, yeah, I realize it can all go away very quickly. And so I'm going to choose my life with these priorities or with these values. And so in some ways, their life can feel richer. And yet there's always going to be that ping in the heart or that, yeah. And that's what came with it too. And so just doing your best to acknowledge that even as the days and weeks go on and you continue to live your life, or you're starting to learn how to live your life without that person that you love, or without the event, or without the, whatever things are changed that you have lost, then just acknowledge it is different. I am different. And it helps you make more conscious choices Like what I get to do about that now, or how I'm getting through this moment now. And by making conscious choices, it's a way of leveling out that helplessness that you felt during the event. So some of you experienced your traumatic event alone, and it's really important to get support, whether that's a therapist or a mentor, a neighbor, your friends. And it's a little harder because you may have to be more clear about what you need. People won't know how you're feeling. For some of you, you experienced your traumatic event as a group. And so there's this relatable, like something where you can just talk about it and they know, they get it. That being said, it's also okay to be clear about, well, I hear that you want to talk about it, but I'm somebody who I just really need some more quiet time, right? Please take care of yourself, and everybody's going to process differently. If you're in a position of trying to support somebody, then take their lead. If they're quieter, then not completely ignore that this thing has happened. Like, you might just be ready if they start talking about it, to be available and be acknowledging, not to problem solve, not to fix, but just to hear them out. So if you're in a position to be supporting somebody, take their lead. If they're chatty and they want to share things, if you have the capacity to do that, then just hear them out, acknowledge, reflect. So paraphrasing, kind of summarizing back what they've said, or maybe they tell a story, but you also see an emotion. So you say, wow, you look really mad about that. Or, yeah, I see how sad you are. Or I hear that you're really baffled. You're trying to make sense of something that doesn't seem sensible. I like to say we get by with a little help from our friends. So whether you're somebody that processes a lot alone or wants to talk things out, it's helpful to have those connections, to feel that contact, to be reassured or supported, loved on, nurtured, so that you don't have to do it alone. So I hope that these videos have helped you know, oh, that's normal, or oh, here's some things I can do about it. If it's still not feeling doable, please, please, please reach out to someone. So whether that's in your community or an EMDR therapist, or if you're not knowing where to go, then feel free to email, call, Facebook me. I'm not usually on Facebook a lot, but I'll watch for messages as well. Take care, everyone.